afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Odin's Tiger Island. Odin will be joining us in just a few minutes, but all of us hope that all of you are going to enjoy the show and have a great time with us this afternoon. And you're also going to learn something as well about one of the world's most beautiful yet highly endangered animals, that tiger. And by the looks of it, we're going to get underway already with our first behavior. Our first tiger showing you how they swim. And you'll notice that it does sort of look like a doggy paddle, but of course, Fedor is a tiger. He likes it much better when we call it a tiger paddle. And once he makes his way all the way to the right-hand side of the pool, let's give him a great round of applause. I don't think Fedor is too impressed with that level of applause. He knows he can do better than that, so he's going to turn around and do that one more time. When he makes it all the way to the left-hand side, he wants to hear each and every one of you a little bit louder. Now, a couple of things that makes tigers excellent swimmers is just like all cats, they do have slightly webbed paws. They're also very big, powerful muscles to help power them through the water. Although Fedor is tall enough, he can cheat and walk on the defense floor. But you know what? That's all right. So let's give him a great round of applause. Good job, Fedor. Now a little bit about Fedor. He is an Amur tiger, but you might know him better by his more claimant name of Siberian tiger. Many people commonly believe Siberian tigers are going to be white, but see with Fedor, that's just simply not true. Siberian or Amur tigers are always going to be orange, even though they do come from a snowy climate. Fedor is currently 4 years old, or actually be turning 4 next month, weighs just about 400 pounds. But over the next few months, he could grow a little bit more. He might soon become our largest tiger here at Tiger Island. And speaking about our largest tiger, it sounds like he's just joined us. Now, you might have seen him before on the internet or in newspapers and magazines such as Sports Illustrated as our world-famous diving white tiger. That is, of course, Odin. Odin is currently 7 years old, weighs 435 pounds. Like I said, he's our largest tiger, and Odin is a white Bengal tiger. And Odin, he's not an albino tiger, he's not a Siberian tiger, and he doesn't come from a snowy climate either. Odin is simply a white Bengal tiger, as all white tigers are. But more commonly, the Bengal tiger is actually going to be orange, where all other types of tigers can only have that orange coat. Odin gets that white coloration from a recessive gene that's passed down to him from his parents. Both parents must carry that recessive gene and pass it down in order for it to occur. It's actually very similar to having blonde hair and blue eyes in humans. Odin's father, for example, was an orange Bengal tiger, but he did carry that recessive gene for the white coloration. Now, there are two primary reasons why the tiger is so endangered in the wild. That's habitat loss and poaching. Tigers living in Asia come from a continent with the highest human population in the world. And with that population expected to double again within the next 30 years, there's soon going to be no space left for these animals to live. But a more pressing issue facing the tiger is poaching, also known as illegal hunting. Tigers are poached for a number of different reasons, the most obvious one of which is for their coats. Many people believe that tiger's skin is very beautiful and like to have them as area rugs or decorative wall hangings in their house. Well, we here at Odin's Tiger Island believe, and hopefully you folks agree with us. In fact, let us hear you nice and loud if you agree with us, that tiger's coat looks much better on a live tiger than hanging on somebody's wall or floor. Glad you folks agree with us. But actually, the number one reason tigers are poached is for their internal organs and their bones. There are many cultures that believe that if you take a tiger's bone, grind it up, and ingest it in either pill form or in some wine or vinegar, that can cure all sorts of medical illnesses. Anything from arthritis to acne to even cancer. Now, this has been proven to be totally untrue by modern-day science, but it's often very difficult to convince these cultures that it is untrue, and unfortunately it's still very prevalent today. In fact, you only have to go as far as San Francisco, right into Chinatown, you can actually find all sorts of illegal products made out of tiger parts. But the good news is our tigers here at Six Flags are doing fantastic. Now that we have their attention, we're going to be running these cats through a series of natural behaviors. And for doing the behaviors correctly, the tiger's going to be rewarded with a little bit of a food treat. And the first treat they're getting is some 2% low-fat milk. Tigers think of the milk much like we might think of ice cream. First behavior they're going to do for you is called a fighting posture. Now this is what tigers would do, settling any disputes that they might get into. They're going to rise up onto their hind legs, then use those powerful front paws, much like a boxer, to knock their opponent off balance, and thus gain an advantage. It looks like we have one. We have two tigers. What do you guys think of these tigers so far? Alright, now the next behavior they're going to do for you is called a rise. So if you want to imagine those trainers in there as trees, the tigers are going to rise up onto the tree, then use those sharp front claws to strip the bark off the tree and leave deep gouges in the wood. Now that's just one way that tigers in the wild will mark their territory. And there is, of course, another way that all cats mark their territory, and that is by urinating on things. So once again, let's imagine those trainers as trees. You folks want to see that? Well, I was just kidding. We're not going to do that to those guys. But we will go on with our next behavior. We're going to bring these cats right up close, right to the fence, so you get an idea of how big they actually are. I might see the tigers entering the pool again. I'd be thinking to yourself, well, a tiger's a cat, and I thought all cats hate the water. Well, for the most part, you would be correct, but there are a few notable exceptions, the most significant one of which is the tiger, and that's because of where they come from in the wild. Tigers originated in the jungles of Asia, where there's many pools of standing water, especially during monsoon season. Now, right here we have Fedor standing on the fence. Right now, he stands just about 8 feet tall. Now, Bowden on the right does the same behavior. He stands about the same height as well. And if you look closely at the fence while the cats are standing on it, you might notice a few claws poking through. As a reminder that here at Six Flags, we do not declaw in order to fang any of our tigers. In order to work safely with these animals, we have to raise them from the time they're just a couple of weeks old, or spend many years being introduced to raise them. Now, something else to keep in mind, folks, is that these cats are not tamed or domesticated. They're just well-trained wild animals. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people try to keep tigers as pets, and then to find out the hard way that tigers just never make good pets at all. Now, in fact, the state of Texas authorities respond to about 1 mauling per month, usually involving the young children or friends of the people that own these animals. Our tigers are very cute, and our trainers look very relaxed. For the most part, that only comes from many years of training that both the tigers and the trainers receive. So in other words, folks, don't try this at home. Now, right now, we're going to have the two boys head to the deep end of the pool. They're going to show you one of our more remarkable behaviors. You're going to be seeing tigers dive. Now, tigers in the wild will dive underwater when they're chasing after their prey. Notice they pull their ears back to keep water flowing in the ear canal, open up the eyes to find the piece of meat underwater, and they'll bring it to the surface to eat it. And once Odin makes it to the surface, let's give both these tigers a big round of applause. And how would you folks like to see that done? One more time. Oh, come on, folks. You want to see that again? Now, we've seen our tigers dive down and hold their breath for 30 to 40 seconds during any given dive. We're pretty sure they can hold their breath longer than that if they really needed to. But they're only going to hold their breath for that piece of meat. Now, while the trainers are interacting with the tigers out there, I'll answer a couple of common questions we get asked out here on Odin's Tiger Island. A lot of people wonder if this is enough room for the tigers, and the answer is yes. Tigers, just like all cats, are one of the laziest animals around. Even in the wild, they sleep 16 to 18 hours a day. The only time they'll run in the wild is when they're chasing after their prey. And even then, it's only for short bursts, not for long distances. As long as we balance their food intake with their activity level, we'll have very fit, healthy tigers on our hands. And since we do work hands-on with them, we can provide them a little stimulation unlike any other zoo or animal park. Another common question we get asked out here, a lot of people want to help an endangered animal like the tiger, so they ask us what they can do about it. Well, the first thing that we'll recommend you to do is to educate yourself as much as possible about that endangered species. Now, for example, in order to save the tiger, you have to understand that tiger is what's known as an umbrella species. By that I mean to save them, you also have to save their habitat and their prey, which are both also highly endangered. And the next thing that you can do is to get involved in various organizations that work to help solve the problems facing these endangered animals. One local organization that we here at Discovery Kingdom support right out of Marin County is called the Fund for the Tiger. This organization sponsors sting operations in the wild to help catch poachers in the act. They strike right at the heart of the problem, and as a residual effect of their efforts, they also help other endangered species such as elephants and rhinos. Now, you can learn more about this organization by visiting their website, which is www.thefundforthetiger.org. But by donating to the organization, you'll be doing a big difference in the survival of an endangered animal just like the tiger. Now, we will continue interacting with the tigers out here a little while longer. We'll get a few more dives with the boys. Now's a great time if you have cameras to come on down close right to the railing to get a few up-close shots of these cats diving in the pool. This is the only place in the world that you see tigers diving like this. We'll also have our trainers at the fence to answer any questions that you might still have. But before we go any further, how about we get one more big round of applause for all of our tigers out here at Odin's Tiger Island. Tigers out here until 7 o'clock this evening, so feel free to come on by later, check them out, or ask us any questions you have later on in the afternoon. And on behalf of your hosts and hostesses, our trainers on the island have been Sean and Ruben. My name is Chris, and all of us hope that all of you continue having a great adventure here at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. Thank you, folks.